So guys, it's been a long time coming for me to come up here. Ironically, today I'm speaking about something along that line, something I'm a little familiar with, and that's called procrastination. How many of you guys are procrastinators in this room? If you haven't raised your hand, you can raise it next week, I suppose. As I was coming up here, or as I'm coming through the day, many people ask me, "Are you nervous, Pastor Mitch? Are you nervous?" And
why is the video playing?
And I said, "No, I'm not nervous." And I was going through worship, I was more nervous that I would press the on button on my microphone and that you guys would realize exactly why they put me behind this cage every Sunday. It's because my voice isn't so much a joyful noise as Pastor Kevin. So, no, I'm not nervous. I count it a privilege and honor to speak to you guys today. And I just hope that my heart, my mind is transparent and that I'm able to get the word across the way that God has delivered it to me. So, you guys, bear with me. I'm normally used to speaking to people that when I ask for praise reports that they say, "I busted a deer on the way to school this morning," or something to that nature. We normally start off with some game. Sometimes we'll require Spam or tofu or toilet paper. I'm not going to put you guys through that today. So, as I mentioned, I'm speaking on procrastination today, and at that point, I will stop procrastinating and get to it. I do have a video to show you guys, as it's started to play a couple times already.
To realize the value of 1 year, ask a student who failed a grade. To realize the value of 1 month, ask a mother who gave birth to a premature baby. To realize the value of 1 week, ask the editor of a weekly newspaper. To realize the value of 1 day, ask a daily wage laborer with kids to feed. To realize the value of 1 hour, ask the lovers who are waiting to meet. To realize the value of 1 minute, ask a person who missed the train. To realize the value of 1 second, ask the person who just avoided an accident. To realize the value of 1 millisecond, ask the person who won a silver medal at the Olympics.
So as you guys know, we've all been giving a certain amount of time to live on this earth. Some of us have been given a couple days from birth. Some were given only a few months. Some have been given 70, 80, 90, 100 plus years. We don't know how long that we've got to thrive and to minister to other people and how long we have to live our lives fully for Jesus Christ. Many of us put off the call that God has put on our lives. Many of us have put off what God is urging us to do. Many of us just put off our simple, mundane, everyday tasks. I have to admit, with my head hanging a little low, there's points that I'm somewhat of a procrastinator. And I think the older that I get, the more irons I have in the fire, the more of a procrastinator I've become. So the content of this is, I'm preaching a little bit at this myself. I'm not just preaching to you guys, I'm talking to myself today. But procrastination is a great way of self-sabotage. It's making your life kind of miserable on your own self. Nobody can make you become a procrastinator. It's something that you figured out how to do on your own. I came across the quote this morning. It was pretty good. It says, "The sooner I fall behind, the more time I have to catch up." That's kind of the motto, as for most procrastinators. The sooner I fall behind, the more time I have to catch up. It's kind of humorous to think about it in that sense, but I want to ask you guys, what are some popular procrastination excuses? Maybe you guys are procrastinators and you have excuses you want to share. You just throw your hand up. I'm just curious, what are some of your excuses that you procrastinate, or why you procrastinate?
Pastor Mitch, I'll tell you tomorrow.
Brandon will get to that tomorrow. The Facebook team tomorrow probably on that. Yes. What is it? Gotta work. Got something to do.
No time today, do it tomorrow.
No time today. I'll get to it tomorrow.
It's not due tomorrow.
Not due till then. Yeah, that's good. So I put a couple on the board here. I'll start after such and such. How many guys will do that? I'll start at the end of this TV show, or I'll start after, I get money in the bank. The time is just not right. I just aren't feeling it yet. I don't have the time yet. Another one is, it's not really that important. I mean, I've got other things I could be working on. It can wait. It's not that bad. Another one is, I don't have enough blank to start. I mean, would use the excuse of money sometimes. I don't have enough money Anyway, after about 4 years of working on the basement, the most part of our basement is done. It's not completely done, but we're getting there. But that was the excuse I used. I don't have enough money to start, when sometimes I still have the materials there, just didn't have enough to finish it. But I just went, oh, I'll wait till I get one. That was an excuse I used for that. Another excuse is, well, something came up, we got a phone call or whatever. I think we all use some of these excuses. I've got too much else to do right now. I'm too busy. How many guys ever use, I'm too busy? Yeah. Procrastination busters. Here's the good part of procrastination, things that you can help to get yourself off the procrastination kick. Is set goals, whether they're short-term or long-term or preferably both. Set goals that, they could be just very small goals. Let's say you have a goal to be debt-free. We went through classes on this side of the man. We did some classes a while back with Dave Ramsey. We're also doing Sunday school courses. There are classes right now on that. But set goals. Those of you that are in the Sunday school class, what's one of the first goals to get debt-free? Did they go over that? $1,000 set aside in your bank account. If you don't make a certain criteria, you want to put $500 away because you need to have an emergency fund. Then your next thing is to snowball the debt crisis. So to work on your lowest dollar amount debt, whether it's a small credit card or something, get working on the smaller ones and you can keep applying it. So, and then they go all the way to large amounts, and they continue to teach you through that. But that process teaches you to set short-term and to set long-term goals. And that's a great way of beating the procrastination bug. Next one is a click away. Here it is, be held accountable to somebody. How many of you guys are accountable to somebody for something or other? If you guys work, most of you are accountable to a boss. I have 3 of them, and it's a lot of fun. You guys ever heard the term, too many chiefs, not enough Indians kind of thing? But we're all held accountable to something. And those of you that are going through projects that you don't have somebody you're held accountable to and you're slipping, now is a great time to find an accountability partner. Focus on the task at hand. I somewhat consider myself a little ADD at times, especially when I drink one of my favorite drinks, Red Bull. Please don't flog me, I do enjoy that drink. But my attention span just goes like everywhere, every which way. And I learned not to drink that before I preach, by the way. I am on coffee, that's why I'm probably speaking a little quicker than I should. But focus on one task. I had a friend at work one time that told me, Mitch, if you want to get the most done in a day as possible, is the stack that you have on your desk, and you have them too, is just pick the thing on the top and start doing it. Just whatever's there, work on that one, and go to the next. That's that way with procrastination. If you've got 12 tasks in front of you, don't pick your top 8 that you'd like to work on. Just pick the first one at hand, run with it, go with it, get it done, go on to the next. Otherwise, you'll just be making yourself miserable by the end of the day. You'll have 11 uncompleted tasks, maybe 1 completed task. Work on what you can. Focus on it. Focus on the prize. Focus on the end turn. Your next procrastination buster is give yourself a sense of urgency. Make that relevant. This goes along with making a goal, but make it a time-sensitive thing. You have so long to get such and such done. If you don't have this done at 10 o'clock, don't take your break. Don't do whatever. Get it done. Get rid of distractions. How many has distractions in life today? Big one is smartphone linked in my pocket. Unfortunately, it's bittersweet. I love my smartphone, but it's like a world of distractions. I get any website at any particular time. I get a Facebook like a million times a second. I've got a Bible app on there, which is great. But I also have games in there and, just stuff to fill my time. Now, smartphones are awesome if you use them to the best of their productivity capability, but there's also a lot of distractions involved. So sometimes we have distractions of computer or phone or Facebook, and sometimes we turn those off or all 3 of them off, if you guys are probably like me. We need to get rid of distractions. So let me ask you this. What are some reasons that we procrastinate? I went through and comprised a list of our top 5 procrastination reasons. And I put scriptures that will help us deal with procrastination. First one is fear of failure. How many guys have ever, and you don't have to raise your hand, have ever put off something, whether it's going to your boss for a raise, or going out for a different job, or witnessing to somebody, or talking to somebody about the Lord, because you're afraid that you're going to fail. And sometimes we're so afraid of rejection, we're so afraid of failure, we just don't try. We don't do it because we'd rather just not know and go through that than realize that we failed. Well, in the Bible, in the book of Romans chapter 8, verse 37, it says, "No, in all things we are more than conquerors for those who love us." So through Christ, we are conquerors. He's not going to let us fail miserably. Now, if you go into a Chrysler dealership and say, "Yeah, I think you just don't donate me that brand new, Camaro or whatever it is," chances are we might fail at that, okay? But when we work on things through Christ, He's not going to let us fail, okay? When our plan is meshed with His, He is not going to let us slip, okay? His plan and our plan are going to line up if we live our life completely through the eyes of Jesus Christ. Another reason why I procrastinate is perfectionism. I have a little bit of the artsy side in my brain, and I like everything to line up. And sometimes I feel like if I can't get everything to line up, I just won't do it like it. If I can't achieve perfection, why do I even try? That is another reason we procrastinate. Does anyone procrastinate because you're a perfectionist? Yeah. Well, Romans chapter 3, verses 23 through 24 says, "For all have sinned and have fallen short of the glory of God, and are justified freely by His grace through the redemption that came by Jesus Christ." So sometimes we feel like if we can't live our life completely sin-free, why do I even bother a Christian? I can't kick this habit. I can't stop smoking. I can't stop drinking. I can't do whatever. Why do I even try? I can't measure up to be a righteous person. I can't live up to having a sin-free life. Why do I even try? I keep failing. Well, God has given us His graces and mercy to cover up our shortfallings. When we ask God to come into our lives and to be number one, that's more than a prayer that steps to the altar. But when we ask God to be number one in our life, He doesn't require us to be perfect. He doesn't require us to live like a complete sin-free human. That's His desire for our life. But He knows we're going to stumble. He knows we're going to fail. When Sarah and I decided we were going to have kids, we weren't under the understanding that our kids are going to be perfect, they're never going to disappoint us, they're never going to have a messy diaper. We knew that they were going to flub up. We knew that they were going to have issues and they're going to disappoint us from time to time. They're going to make our hair fall out and turn gray and get all stressed out. We understood that. But you know what? We wanted kids and we love our kids regardless of what they've done. That's how Christ is. He loves us no matter what we've done. And we can't make God unlove us because we're an unrighteous person. God loves us regardless. So don't procrastinate becoming a Christian. Don't procrastinate living for God because you feel like you can't measure up. The truth is we can't. We can't measure up to living a sin-free life, but God's grace covers our sins. Another reason we procrastinate is confusion or self-doubt. I can't do it right. I can't. I'm just not good enough. I tried and failed, and it's just not working out for me. Why do I even continue? Well, it says, Philippians 4:13, I hope you guys all have this memorized. It should be in your key scripture memory. And it's very easy to remember. It says, "I can do all things through Him who gives me strength." Another version, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." There's nothing we can't do without the goodness of God. God gives us strength. God gives us courage. As I said earlier, when we're looking through the eyes of Jesus, when our lifestyle is in accordance with Him, God is going to give us that power, that strength, and that we can do all things through Him. Lack of motivation. Where do you guys sometimes lack motivation? Normally, I have to get to work at 7:30. Normally around 7 o'clock, I lack motivation most mornings. I'm not overly motivated to go to work and punch my time card for 11 or 10 or 11 hours that probably without that, I probably wouldn't go to work for charity, I don't think. I love designing kitchens, but not that much, okay? So we all need some motivation. Well, the Bible gives us a whole bunch of motivation for all different types of tasks, but specifically in Proverbs 27:1, it says, "Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring forth." So this applies to different areas. It applies to one, telling others about Jesus Christ, about being a witness and telling them about the goodness and glory of God. Now, it doesn't have to be a turn or burn conversation, okay? It doesn't have to be like, your coworker said, an expletive, or, it doesn't mean you have to be like, "You're going to burn it out," it doesn't have to be that. It's often just sharing God's love, and you continue that, and you'd be surprised how many doors will open that you can have more intimate conversations about what God has done in your life. Not every time will you have that turn and burn conversations. Now that may come up, and I hope it does at some point, and you approach it gracefully. But allow God to do the work and take that step of faith and taking that word and delivering it to them. Taking them and telling them what God has done in your life, or how that God can set them free from whatever it is that they're going through. Also, in our own lives, maybe our lives aren't quite joining up with how God desires for us to live. Maybe we have those stumbling blocks. We have that skeleton in our closet that nobody else knows about. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Now, God's grace is good for us, but if we're living in a lifestyle of sin, that's a whole completely different aspect than making a mistake. If we're living in a lifestyle of sin, we're not guaranteed that we're going to make home for lunch today, or we're not going to make it to whatever your favorite restaurant is. We're limited restaurants in Hillsdale County, but we're not guaranteed that we're going to make it. How many guys probably would say a good portion of the deaths that you know about, or that that's been close to you, you didn't see that coming. Now, there's lots of times when we have an elderly person in our family, or somebody that's gone through a terminal illness, that you can kind of see it coming a week or two, or a couple months, even a year ahead of time. But more often than not, like that. The Bible said life is like a vapor. We're not guaranteed that we're going to be around. And if we're living in a lifestyle of sin, we're not guaranteed heaven either. God has given us grace for those that are living in accordance to His Word. But for those that are living in a sinful lifestyle, we're not guaranteed heaven. Matter of fact, we're more guaranteed hell than we are heaven. Now, it's one thing if you just plumb messed up one day. You went off the handle on a coworker, and you didn't show the love of God in this particular instance, and you asked for forgiveness. You repented of that. Turn from doing that. God's grace is sufficient. But when you're living a lifestyle of sin, whatever that sin may be, that's a whole different scenario. You can come to church all you want. That doesn't do anything. You can go to college classes all you want, but if you don't work at those college classes, if you don't bother taking the tests and passing them, you're not going to get anywhere. God is, church doesn't make you go to heaven. Church is not a free ticket. Church is a place that you can get revived. Church is a place that you learn. Religion doesn't get you into heaven. Religion just gets you a Sunday best and, a knowledge of the Bible. But until we live out what God has given us, it doesn't get us anywhere. Our last step is a lack of priorities. Some of us are caught into monetary priorities. We need to work to get a raise. We need to work to get a better job. We need to work to get our house paid off. We need to work to get this new car that just came out, or a new stereo system, or we need to work to get whatever. If money is your focus and your prize, and that's all your priority is, you can't buy your way to heaven. Our focus, our main priority needs to be serving the one and only true God. If our priority is making money, if our priority is making friends, if our priority is getting through school or doing whatever, if your priority, if God is not your number one priority, there's something that's not lined up in the Christian walk. It might be that you're following religion more than you're following a relationship with God. Relationship with God is where it's at. That's the ticket to heaven. Religion doesn't get you anywhere. Matthew chapter 22, verses 36 says, "Teacher, what is the greatest commandment of the law?" What is the greatest commandment of the law? Jesus replied, "Love." I always teach the students, when it's in red, pay attention, okay? It's something important that's being said. Jesus didn't tell you what he had for lunch most of the time. He told you stuff that was important. It says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, with all your mind." This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. And all the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. So you can memorize the 10 Commandments until you're blue in the face. You can memorize the order of all 52 books of the Bible, and you can memorize how they're spelled and get a master's degree in theology, but it doesn't matter unless you have this in your heart. Matthew 22, 36 to 40. I'll read it again. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. Love the Lord with everything that you have. Until you love the Lord to that extent, other things don't matter. That needs to be your number one priority. When we do that, our whole mindset changes. When we go to work for a different reason. We don't go to work for a paycheck. We go to work because it's a missions field. When we go to the grocery store, we don't go to the grocery store because we're getting groceries. We go to the grocery store because we pass hurting people, and we have little opportunities to share the love and the goodness of mercy. It might be just being extra friendly. It might just be smiling, or when the cashier just flubs up your order, not flying off the handle, because that's sometimes fun to do. It means showing them grace and showing them mercy that God has bestowed on you, and many times that can open up a door. When we love the Lord our God with that type of mindset, the things that we do in life change completely. How we talk to people, our demeanor changes completely. When we worship God, we don't worship to sing and have fun and vocalize. We worship because we're praising the Lord, because He's given us so much, because He's worthy of our praise. It doesn't matter if we wrecked our car on the way in. He's still worthy of our praise. It doesn't matter if we've lost our job, we've got no money, we don't have any food in the refrigerator. We worship God because He's worthy of our praise. His name alone is higher than all other names. Now, I love the names Emma and Lily. They're my two daughters. But Jesus' name is so much better, so much sweeter than their name. So we need to get that priority down. We need to love the Lord with everything that we do. We need to love our neighbors as ourselves. We need to love the Walmart cashiers as ourselves. We need to love others the way that God has loved us. Some of us in this room don't always have the best self-image. We don't love ourselves the way that we do. Well, guys, I'll tell you what, God doesn't make junk. God has made you fearfully and wonderfully. God has made you in His own image. Some of us don't have that self-image. We think we're trash. We don't think that we're beautiful in His eyes. We don't think that we amount to anything. But you know what? When you do that, it's an insult to God. Because He made you perfectly. He made you without flaw. He made you without defect. Now, what you see in the mirror may not match up to the magazines on the newsstands, which I hope you don't always pay a whole lot of attention to. But God has made you beautifully. He's made you inside and out. So love yourself the way that God has made you. To recap, why do we procrastinate? Feel a fear of failure. God is telling us that we're more than conquerors. We procrastinate because we're afraid to fail. God has told us that we're not failures. Okay? We procrastinate because we have poor self-esteem. God has made you in His image. He said that you can do all things through Christ that strengthens you. We again procrastinate because of motivation. We're not ready tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen. Okay? do it because we have a lack of priorities. God has telling us our number one priority. He summarized the whole Bible nearly in just a couple scriptures. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul. Guys, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. We're not guaranteed this afternoon. Live your life in accordance to His Word. Live your life in the eyes of Jesus Christ. May your life line up with the way that God has taught you, with His love, with His just lining up, Him being number one in your life. I'm going to close on Luke chapter 12, verses 30. It says, "You also must be ready for the Son of Man coming at an hour you do not expect." There's been some predictions, ever since I've been little. There's always some kook that's out there saying, "I got a word from God, He's coming back on such and such a day, you better be ready." If you hear that, be ready, but chances are it's not going to happen that day. God has said no man knows the hour, not even the angels, not even Jesus knows when God is coming back. Okay? So, live your life like coming back immediately. Live your life to the fullest extent that Jesus Christ has for you. Live your life as if that person that you meet is not going to see the end of this hour. Live that person that you come in contact with, your coworker, is going to get in a wreck on the way home and be tragically killed. Now don't cry out anyone who says that to help anybody. Live your life. Minister to people. Live your life where you have a lifestyle that is pleasing to God. God's grace is going to cover your imperfections, but you need to live like it's your last. Live for God like it matters. Guys, why don't you bow your heads and close your eyes with me? Lord Heavenly Father, there's many people in this room from many different backgrounds. They're going through many different things in their lives, in their families. There's people that are stressed. There's people that are hurting. There's people that are confused. There's people that probably don't want to see tomorrow. Lord God, I just pray that you'll begin to speak to us on such a clear level. And Lord, that we'll make the conscious effort, Lord, that we live our life in accordance to your word. Lord, we don't know if our coworker, if our friends, if our family, we don't know what their life is going to end. Or they might have a long, prosperous life. But Lord, even a long, prosperous life is not a good life without you being the center of it. Lord, I just pray that you mess up our priorities so bad, Lord, so that our priorities, we make a conscious effort of living through your eyes. Lord, that when we see hurting people, Lord, that we see them with the compassion and love that you have for others. Lord, when you see a hurting person, Lord, it hurts you. Lord, and I pray that we get that same emotion, that same mindset. Lord, that we be better effective witnesses of you. Lord, not necessarily somebody on a soapbox in the street corner, because that's not very effective most of the time. Our most effective form of worship, our most effective form of ministry is your love. Well, that's how you minister when you're on this earth. Lord, as you showed others love. Lord, you did miracles, and you did awesome things. And Lord, you've given us that same power through you when we have faith. But Lord, I just pray that we just begin to let our lives line up with your heart. Lord, that if there's things in our life today, Lord, that we would make them right with you. Lord, it's not about saying a special prayer. It's not about wearing the right type of clothes or getting to church on time, or even the church that you go to. But Lord, it's the heart. It is the mind of ourselves, so that we line up with your word. If you're in this place tonight, and you know that you've got things in your life that just aren't lining up with the Bible, that they're not lining up with the way that God desires us to live, the conviction of the Lord is upon you. Lord, whether it be something what we consider small or stupid, or whether it's that stupid skeleton that's been in our closet for so many years we just can't get rid of. tonight I invite you to come to this altar and make it right. I'm not going to ask for a raise of hands. God sees your heart. I don't need to see your hand. God sees what you do behind closed doors. God sees how you act your life. I pray that you come to this altar tonight and today and make it right. For those that are living their life as well as we can in accordance to your word, Lord, I pray that we be better witnesses, Lord, that we show people your love. I know that you give us the courage, Lord, that you give us just a better demeanor of ourselves. Lord, that when we get upset, Lord, we choose to have your word in our heart. We choose to live our lives with love. It's great and fine to be emotional, but Lord, let your love cover our shortcomings. So tonight, if you're in this place, I make the formal invitation to this altar, but that you get right with God, that you get that sin out of your life. You confess your shortcomings to God. God already knows what they are. You're not fooling him. He knows your every heart. He knows your every desire. If you ask him how many hairs on your head, he can count it right off the back of his palm. He knows you like no other. I pray tonight that you get your life right. If you are short of confidence when it comes to telling others about Jesus Christ, I think you come to this altar and make it right. There are people in this room that would love to pray with you and to guide you and help you through this. Lord Heavenly Father, we thank you for your goodness and your mercy. God, that as people leave this place today, Lord, if they're not right with you, Lord, you make that conviction so heavy and so strong in their life, Lord, that they'll be miserable until they make it right with you. Lord, I pray that as people leave this auditorium today, that they will be full of your goodness. Lord, that they will be full of your joy and your freedom. Lord, as I leave today, Lord, I pray a special blessing on this congregation. Lord, I pray that there are those today, Lord, as they leave, just speak to them, minister to them, show them your love and mercy.